Dieses Video wird dir präsentiert von helden.de, deinem zuverlässigen Partner für Fahrrad- und E-Bike-Versicherungen. Mit dem Heldencode aus der Videobeschreibung sparst du zusätzlich noch den ersten Monatsbeitrag und unterstützt dadurch diesen Kanal Fahrradstadt Hamburg.
Ich bin gespannt, warum No More Bike Highways. Gerade wir reden ja immer mehr von Radschnellwegen und so weiter und so fort, also genau das Gegenteil. Warum sagt er No More Bike Highways? Ich bin da sehr gespannt.
Hey, check out this bike route. It's pretty good. It's nice and wide, lots of space, but there are little things that get in your way. And there's a new idea to turn this route into a cycling superhighway. But there's a problem. Some people say this idea is outdated already. So is the idea of a cycling superhighway dead before it's even been built?
Eigentlich ja nicht das, was wir sagen. Wir wollen ja eigentlich möglichst viele Radschnellwege, um Strecken zu verbinden. Die Frage ist natürlich, meint er jetzt sozusagen Bike Highways innerstädtisch oder außerstädtisch?
Hey everybody, I'm Tom and this is Shifter, a channel about urban cycling, bike commuting, and the ways we get around our cities. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and if it's really good, then maybe hit that super thanks button. A big thanks going out for today's video to UMX, or Urban Mobility Explained, powered by EIT Urban Mobility. This is a great YouTube channel that offers inspiration and education from cities all over the world about how cities are improving transportation. It's all about innovation and sustainability and great new ideas and best practices, and I get a lot of inspiration from it. In fact, it inspired today's video. More than that, they are a sponsor of today's video, so please, if you like this channel, I'm sure you're gonna love their content as well, so check out the link in the description down below. So I'm in Vancouver today, and this is the Central Valley Greenway, a 25-kilometer pedestrian cyclist route that goes from Vancouver out to some of the suburbs. And it's a quiet Sunday morning here, but this is a heavy commuter route during the week used by a lot of cyclists. And that's why a Vancouver bike advocacy group called The Hub recently released a report identifying this and a number of other routes as potential future cycling superhighways. The idea basically is to take this route and really transform it into a highway for bikes. So what is a cycling superhighway? Well, it's not exactly a cryptic name. Here's how Hub describes them. Cycling highways are the highest quality bike routes covering long distances, more than 5 kilometers, and providing regional connections between major destinations. They are direct, paved, protected, lit, of ample width, and with intersections prioritizing people cycling. And it seems like a great...
Also im Grunde das, worunter wir ein Radschnellweg im Grunde verstehen. Das ist ja genau die Art, wie wir verstehen, einen Radschnellweg sozusagen zu bauen.
Great idea. This greenway moves a lot of people, and with a bit of smoothing out, some rejigging of some intersections, maybe widening it, this could absolutely be a highway for bikes. Okay, through the magic of two things called time and transportation, I'm now in Montreal, and I'm walking beside a bike lane known as the Rev. Now, it's similar to the one being proposed in Vancouver in a couple of ways. For one, it's envisioned to be a long route. It's hundreds of kilometers when complete. It's also meant to be fast and efficient for cyclists. Okay, keep all that in mind because we're traveling again, this time off to London. Not fake London, real London.
As a Canadian, where most people probably think a cycling superhighway is a crumbling 4-centimeter strip of asphalt on the shoulder of a highway, I was happy to have experienced my first cycling superhighway earlier this year in London. I recently made a video of this experience. I tried out the CS3 in London, one of a network of cycling superhighways that have been implemented over the past decade, designed to help people from the outer boroughs of London get downtown. And I gotta say, not a lot of that route matched the description of a cycling superhighway. A lot looked like a typical bike lane or even a sharrow. But there were certainly moments when this route was really direct, paved, protected, lit, of ample width, and with intersections prioritizing people cycling. And I gotta say, those moments were pretty glorious. And they seem to work. A report recently said that since cycling superhighways were introduced in London, the number of cyclists has increased by 83%, which is a pretty big figure.
Glaube ich sofort. Das sagt man ja immer wieder. Biete die Infrastruktur an, dann kommen auch die Leute und nutzen die Infrastruktur. Und das ist ja im Grunde genau das, was wir eigentlich auch immer wieder sagen. Fangt an, das zu bauen und die Leute werden es, wenn es da ist, nutzen. Was nicht da ist, wird auch nicht genutzt. Und man kann natürlich auch sagen von wegen, ja, hier an der Straße, da wird kaum mit dem Rad gefahren, aber wenn ich keinen Radweg habe, aber 6 Spuren für Autos mit 60 km/h, dann brauche ich mich nicht wundern, dass da keiner mit dem Rad lang fährt. Ich würde es auch nicht machen, ich bin ja nicht lebensmüde. Biete aber einen vernünftig geschützten Radweg an und die Leute werden ihn auch nutzen kommen.
Now we're going to employ some more magic, but this time it's the magic of the internet. So the idea of a cycling superhighway, of course, came from the Netherlands. So here's a video from UMX that explains from a Dutch perspective what goes into a good cycling superhighway.
It is important to think about not just, okay, which places seem logical to connect, like on a map, but to really think about who is living there, who is using these spaces, and to make sure that it's not just one demographic that you're serving. So not just people who live in the outskirts and then have to go to work in the city center, but also making it a meaningful route for people who have shorter trips in their own neighborhood and can use parts of that route as well.
And of course, leave it to the Dutch to think of things that we would never think about here, like make sure you can ride side by side on a superhighway. Because of course, why don't you want to ride with a friend? And also don't just pick 2 connecting points on a map. Look for places that are beautiful, places that cyclists want to go, places that cyclists need to go. These are the things that make up a good cycling superhighway.
Also, wie gesagt, das, was ja auch im Grunde alle immer sagen, ist, nicht einfach nur einen Radweg zwischen 2 Punkte setzen, damit man einen hat, sondern auch gucken, wer lebt da dran, wen kann man miteinander verbinden, gibt es Abzweigepunkte sozusagen, um andere Strecken zu verbinden, was ja auch viele Niederländerinnen und Niederländer sozusagen machen. Und das ist ja entsprechend dann auch wichtig. Und das ist im Grunde das, was hier jetzt sozusagen gerade gesagt wird. Und das kann ich nur vollkommen unterstützen.
But there's a problem, because of course there's a problem. When I was chatting with Katie Rhoda from the London cycling campaign about cycling superhighways, she mentioned to me that they had become so popular and so busy that some tensions were being created between different types of users. There are kids and older people and people on slow bikes mixing with fast people in Lycra and that most British type of cyclist, the fast person in Lycra on a folding Brompton. In fact, the cycling superhighways had become so synonymous with that most British of phrases, the Lycra lout, that they had stopped using that phrase. They're no longer calling them cycling superhighways. They're just cycleways. And even the Dutch are starting to question cycling superhighways. Here's my old friend Angela Vanderkloof, who thinks that maybe cycling superhighways have a branding problem.
The thing about a cycling highway or fast cycle route is problematic because it triggers emotions, negative emotions. You don't want that in your neighborhood, and you don't want your children to ride on their bikes on a highway. You would rather want it to be something meaningful, and yeah, not so much putting speed at the core, but putting, you know, the positive aspects at the core of the name. I think that is important.
Okay.
Ja, ist auch ein Kritikpunkt, den wir oft haben, wenn es darum geht, Radschnellwege. Ich meine, das Wort Radschnellweg ist jetzt auch nicht besonders positiv besetzt, aber wenn man in vielen Zeitungen oder Nachrichtenportalen dann immer liest, von welchen Fahrradautobahnen die gebaut werden sollen, das klingt halt noch negativer und das klingt noch etwas, was man erst recht nicht haben will irgendwie. Und das stimmt, das machen wir in Deutschland auch und da sollten wir vielleicht auch in Deutschland nachdenken, ob wir da nicht ein Wording-Problem haben und nicht nur ein Infrastrukturproblem an sich, sondern sollten wir unsere Radschnellwege wirklich Radschnellwege nennen? Kann man mal drüber nachdenken.
Okay, we're back in Montreal. Are you getting whiplash yet? So one of the things that I find interesting about the REV is the way it's positioned or talked about here in Montreal. So the word itself comes from the French. It's an acronym, Réseau Express Vélo, which means an express bicycle network. In English, it's called the Express Bike Network. Notice what word is not in either language, and that is highway. It's got the word express in there, but specifically not the word highway. This goes deeper than just the acronym. I mean, the way the REV is marketed and talked about and built in most places has to do with accessibility for everyone. In some places it may just look like a regular bike lane, which it kind of does here, but where it's best, the REV is much different. It's wide, it's accessible, it's almost like a place for everybody. Kids, kids and their moms. The idea is to make it comfortable for everyone on a bike, not just those who are speedy and skilled. But don't take it from me. Here's how the guy who planned and built the thing describes it.
What we wanted to do is not going fast. It's not to be able to go fast. It's to be able to go on your destination you want to go on a straight line and not being stopped at every traffic light. The notion of express is more for the opportunity to get where you want easily and not going full speed. When I design bike paths, I'll always ask myself, would I go there with my children? And I think this is a good way to think our cities for everything, not only bike paths, but the sidewalks, transit. If you feel safe for your children, it's a safe city and you can enjoy it.
Das ist ja genau das, was wir oft auch sagen, wenn man solche Fragen, wenn man welche Planungen sieht oder umgebauten Maßnahmen sieht, wo man dann eigentlich sagen würde, da müsste man eigentlich den Planer mal selber mit dem Fahrrad hinsetzen und mal gucken, wie der das findet oder wie die das findet. Und das ist eigentlich die wichtigste Frage, die man sich immer stellen sollte, wenn man solche Infrastruktur plant. Würde ich sie so auch selber nutzen wollen? Oder würde ich meine Kinder hier entlang schicken wollen? Und wenn man diese Fragen beide mit Ja beantworten kann, ist das schon mal ein guter erster Schritt in die richtige Infrastruktur. Aber die meisten Pläne, auch neuere Pläne, die man sich oft anschaut und sich darauf die Frage stellt, wenn das fertig ist, würde ich da mein Kind drauf alleine fahren lassen? Dann würden die meisten Leute wahrscheinlich diese Frage mit Nein beantworten. Und dann ist die Frage natürlich auch gestellt, ist dann diese Infrastruktur überhaupt sinnvoll, so wie wir sie geplant haben?
As Vancouver thinks about this idea, it's probably a good idea for them to be pretty thoughtful about what they're actually going to be building here. Yes, I think Angela's right. Part of this is a branding problem. The word highway has negative connotations. I mean, I don't want to ride on a highway, do you? And this has been recognized in London too. They don't call them cycling superhighways anymore, they just call them cycleways. But it's not just about the name. For a good brand to be effective, the words you use and the way you talk about it has to match reality. I mean, do we want long routes for cyclists? Yes. Do we want prioritized routes for cyclists? Yes. Do we want good intersections and safe routes? Absolutely. But do we want those routes only for aggressive, fast, confident cyclists, or do we want them for everyone? It's a small difference in the way you think about these things, but it's an important nuance that I think you don't want to lose track of. I think Hub, the group here in Vancouver that's promoting this idea, understands this, but I just wanted to raise it because it's an important nuance, not just in the way these routes are built and used, but also in the public discussion around them. Now, I realize a lot of you watching this video are in cities that are years away from even thinking about this idea, but the way these things roll out will have a big impression on the rest of us. So I think it's an important thing to think about it these days. So, well, let me know what you think in the comments below. Love to hear your thoughts, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Ja, in Hamburg haben wir die Thematiken ja schon länger, nämlich mit den sogenannten Velorouten, die ja in Hamburg jetzt nicht mehr so heißen, sondern Radrouten, die aber mit Sicherheit, die ja aber auch überhaupt nicht diese Anforderungen erfüllen. Ja, die ja genau das sozusagen, was ein Expressway oder andere Cycleways sozusagen bieten sollen, nämlich schnell, sicher, getrennt und bequem irgendwo anzukommen. Und wenn man sich da dann entsprechende Planungen oder fertiggestellte Velorouten oder jetzt Radrouten in Hamburg anschaut und dann sich dann fragt, erfüllen die eigentlich die Anforderungen, die wir eigentlich an sie haben? Und sind diese eigentlich zukunftsorientiert für die nächsten 10, 20 Jahre? Dann muss man in den meisten Fällen Nein antworten.
Do you remember all the places we went, the spaces we